Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins All World, where we dive into the world of rare and valuable coins that could be hiding in your collection or even in your pocket change. Today, we're taking a closer look at a coin that may seem like a small, ordinary piece of currency but has the potential to be worth a small fortune, the 1970 Lincoln penny. That's right, this little 1-cent coin has more than just historical significance. It's a hidden gem that could have a far higher value than most people think. So, if you're a collector, or just curious about what makes certain coins so valuable, you won't want to miss this. The 1970 Lincoln penny is a key piece in the long-running Lincoln cent series, which has been circulating since 1909. The obverse of the coin, featuring President Abraham Lincoln's iconic portrait, has been unchanged for over a century, designed by Victor David Brenner. The words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," are prominently displayed, along with the date and mint mark. On the reverse side, you'll find the traditional image of the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of American heritage and pride. The design of the Lincoln Memorial was used on the reverse of the penny from 1959 until 2008 before it was replaced by the Union Shield design. At first glance, the 1970 Lincoln penny might not seem special. After all, it's just one of the millions of pennies produced that year. But as with many coins, what's most valuable isn't always the one that's easiest to find. There are certain rare factors and minting errors that can make this coin worth far more than its humble 1-cent face value. The first thing to understand about the value of the 1970 Lincoln penny is that most of them were produced in large numbers and circulated heavily. However, a few key minting errors occurred during production that can make this coin extremely valuable to collectors. One of the most significant errors that can appear on the 1970 Lincoln penny is the double die error. If you're not familiar with the double die error, it occurs when the coin's die shifts slightly during the minting process, causing the design to be struck twice. This results in a blurry or doubled appearance in certain areas of the coin, such as the lettering or the image of Lincoln's portrait. On the 1970 Lincoln penny, the most noticeable signs of a double die are often seen on the "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" inscriptions. This doubling can be subtle or more pronounced, but it's always something collectors love to look for because it makes the coin unique and more valuable. In addition to the double die error, another possible error that could increase the value of the 1970 Lincoln penny is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is struck off-center during the minting process, which can create a misalignment in the design. A penny with an off-center strike will show parts of the design, like the date or the mint mark, shifted or partially missing. These coins are highly sought after because they are rare and make for interesting additions to any collection. Now, let's talk about the condition of the coin. Like most coins, the condition is a critical factor when it comes to determining its value. A 1970 Lincoln penny that has been heavily circulated will show signs of wear and tear, such as scratches, discoloration, and fading. While these coins are still valuable in some cases, especially if they feature a minting error, they won't fetch the same price as a high-quality, uncirculated version of the coin. An uncirculated 1970 Lincoln penny, in pristine condition with sharp details and minimal wear, can be worth a lot more to collectors. Coins that have been kept in excellent condition are much harder to come by and are considered far more valuable. But here's where it gets really exciting for those of you hoping to strike gold. Rarity is a key factor in how much a coin is worth, and the 1970 Lincoln penny has some surprisingly rare examples that can make it worth much more than its 1-cent face value. While most 1970 pennies were produced in large quantities, certain error coins and those in uncirculated condition are much rarer. And when you have a combination of a rare minting error, such as a double die or off-center strike, and a coin in mint condition, the value skyrockets. So, what's the value of a 1970 Lincoln penny with these characteristics? If you happen to find a 1970 penny in mint condition or one with a double die error or off-center strike, you could be looking at a coin worth $44,000. Yes, that's right, $44,000 for a single penny. It's an impressive amount of money for a coin that's worth just 1 cent in its most basic form, but that's the magic of rare coins. What seems like an ordinary penny could turn out to be a valuable treasure if you know what to look for. So, if you're out there collecting coins or just checking your pocket change, be sure to take a closer look at any 1970 Lincoln pennies you come across. Check for any signs of double die errors or off-center strikes. Inspect the condition carefully. If it's in excellent shape, it could be worth a lot more than you think. Whether you're a seasoned collector or new to the world of numismatics, the 1970 Lincoln penny is definitely a coin to keep an eye on. Who knows? You might have a rare gem hiding right under your nose. Today, we're talking about a coin that might look simple at first glance but actually has the potential to be worth a small fortune. I'm talking about the 1971 Lincoln penny, that humble 1-cent coin that you've probably seen hundreds of times, but have you ever wondered if one of them could be worth thousands of dollars? Well, today, we're going to dive deep into the value of the 1971 Lincoln penny, the errors that make it so special, and how this coin could potentially make you a lot of money. Now, before we get into the specifics, let's quickly talk about the Lincoln cent series. First introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln, the penny has gone through various design changes over the years, but the overall look has remained fairly consistent. On the obverse of the 1971 penny, you'll see Abraham Lincoln's well-known portrait, facing right, with the words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," surrounding it. The reverse side features the iconic Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of Lincoln's connection to American history. So, what makes the 1971 Lincoln penny so special? Well, in this case, it's all about the rarity and the minting errors. While the 1971 penny was widely produced and circulated, there are a few key factors that can make certain examples of this coin incredibly valuable to collectors. And when I say valuable, I mean thousands of dollars. One of the most common reasons that collectors are so interested in the 1971 penny is due to minting errors. Minting errors happen when something goes wrong during the production process, which results in a coin that is different from the standard issue. These errors can drastically increase the value of a coin, making it something collectors are willing to pay a premium for. For the 1971 Lincoln penny, one of the most sought-after errors is the double die error. This happens when the coin's die is misaligned during the minting process, causing the image to be struck multiple times. The result? You end up with a coin where the design looks doubled, especially the date and the word Liberty on the obverse. This is a major red flag for collectors who are always on the lookout for such imperfections. A 1971 penny with a double die error can be worth significantly more than a regular penny, and if you happen to have one, you could be sitting on a valuable piece of history. In addition to the double die error, another error that can add significant value to the 1971 penny is the off-center strike. This error occurs when the coin is struck off-center, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted. With an off-center strike, the date or the image of the Lincoln Memorial might not line up perfectly, creating a unique and rare look that collectors absolutely love. If you come across a 1971 Lincoln penny with an off-center strike, especially one where the error is quite pronounced, you could have yourself a highly desirable coin. Another error that can make the 1971 penny valuable is the filled die error. This occurs when the die that strikes the coin gets clogged with debris or foreign material, causing parts of the coin to appear filled in or blurry. While this is less common, a filled die error on a 1971 penny can make it a rare find, and collectors often pay premium prices for such errors. But it's not just errors that make the 1971 Lincoln penny so valuable. The condition of the coin plays a huge role in determining its worth. Coins that have been heavily circulated and show signs of wear and tear will be worth much less than those in mint condition. A 1971 penny that has been carefully preserved in uncirculated condition, with sharp details and minimal signs of wear, is going to be much more valuable to collectors than a coin that's been through years of handling. So, what's the potential worth of a 1971 Lincoln penny that has one of these rare errors or is in excellent condition? You might be surprised. A well-preserved 1971 penny with a double die error or off-center strike could be worth up to an impressive $43,000. That's right, $43,000 for a 1-cent coin. It's hard to believe, but when you consider how rare these error coins are and how collectors are always on the hunt for them, that price tag suddenly makes a lot of sense. Now, I know what you're thinking: how can you tell if you've got one of these valuable 1971 pennies? It all starts with careful inspection. If you find a 1971 penny in your collection or in your pocket change, take a closer look at the details. Look for any signs of double die errors, where the date or the word Liberty looks doubled. Check for any off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned. And don't forget to examine the condition. If it's in pristine, uncirculated condition, it could be worth a lot more than you think. If you're lucky enough to find a 1971 Lincoln penny with one of these minting errors or in perfect condition, don't just throw it in a jar with all your other coins. Take the time to get it professionally graded and appraised. Coins in excellent condition or with errors can fetch significant sums at auctions or from private collectors. So, to sum up, the 1971 Lincoln penny may seem like a humble coin, but when it comes to rarity and value, it's anything but ordinary. Whether it's the double die error, the off-center strike, or just a coin in mint condition, there's a good chance that your 1971 penny could be worth much more than its face value. Today we're going to take a deep dive into a coin that might just be sitting right under your nose, waiting to turn into a small fortune. I'm talking about the 1972 Lincoln penny. At first glance, this little coin might look like just another 1-cent piece, but what you might not know is that the 1972 Lincoln penny is one of those rare gems in the world of numismatics that could be worth far more than its face value. So, if you're a coin collector or someone who's just curious about rare and valuable finds, stick with me for the next few minutes, because we're about to uncover why this coin could be worth $42,000. Let's start by talking about the 1972 Lincoln penny itself. It might not have the same historic significance as some older pennies, but it's still a crucial part of the Lincoln cent series, which has been around for over a century. The obverse of the coin features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by artist Victor David Brenner. Around Lincoln's image, you'll find the inscriptions, Liberty and, In God We Trust, and at the bottom, the date and mint mark are prominently displayed. The reverse side shows the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of national pride and an important historical landmark in the United States. This design was used on the Lincoln penny from 1959 to 2008, making it a familiar and cherished image for many collectors. The design may seem simple, but it's these very details that make the 1972 Lincoln penny such an exciting coin to look for. Now, you may be wondering, what makes the 1972 penny so valuable? After all, there were millions of these coins minted, so how could one little penny be worth anything significant? The answer lies in its rarity, minting errors, and the condition of the coin. You see, while most 1972 pennies are fairly common, there are certain rare versions of this coin that can fetch a pretty penny, pun intended. One of the key features that make the 1972 penny valuable is the double die error. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly, causing the design to be struck more than once. This results in the design elements, especially the date and the word Liberty, appearing doubled or blurry. For the 1972 Lincoln penny, the double die error is most noticeable on the date. If you look closely at the year, 1972, and see any signs of doubling, you've got a coin that's highly desirable to collectors. The double die error can vary in its intensity. Some coins may show only a slight doubling, while others may have a more pronounced and noticeable effect. The more dramatic the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. And, when it comes to collectors, these types of errors are highly sought after, because they make the coin truly unique. In addition to the double die error, there are other minting mistakes that can make the 1972 penny more valuable. One of these is the off-center strike. An off-center strike happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be cut off or misaligned. On an off-center 1972 penny, you might see parts of Lincoln's portrait or the Lincoln Memorial design missing or shifted. These coins are rare and highly coveted by collectors because they stand out from the usual, perfectly struck pennies. Another possible minting error to watch out for is the die crack. This occurs when a crack forms in the die used to strike the coin, resulting in a raised line or indentation on the coin. While die cracks are not as rare as double die errors or off-center strikes, they still add a unique feature to the coin, making it more interesting and potentially more valuable to collectors who appreciate these subtle imperfections. Now, let's talk about the condition of the coin, which is another major factor in determining its value. A well-worn 1972 penny with visible scratches, discoloration, and fading won't be worth much more than its face value. However, a 1972 penny that has been carefully preserved in mint condition could be worth a small fortune, especially if it features one of these rare errors. If you find a 1972 penny in mint condition or with an error, you'll want to get it professionally graded. Coins in uncirculated condition, with no visible wear or scratches, are always worth significantly more. And if that coin happens to have a double die error or an off-center strike, the value could skyrocket. The demand for these rare coins is high, and collectors are constantly on the lookout for examples in great shape. So, what could a 1972 Lincoln penny with these rare characteristics be worth? If you happen to have an error coin or one in pristine condition, the value could be $42,000. Yes, that's right, $42,000 for a single 1-cent coin. It may seem unbelievable, but the world of rare coin collecting can be full of surprises. And when you factor in the rarity of a 1972 penny with a double die error or off-center strike, that price tag starts to make perfect sense. If you've got a 1972 Lincoln penny in your collection, take a closer look. Inspect the date, the word Liberty, and the overall condition of the coin. Check for any signs of a double die error, an off-center strike, or other minting mistakes. You never know, what seems like a simple penny could turn out to be a valuable treasure. Today we're diving into a coin that you might have missed or overlooked in your collection, a coin that, if you're lucky, could be worth a small fortune. I'm talking about the 1981 Lincoln penny. At first glance, this little 1-cent piece might seem like just another regular penny from the early 80s, but trust me when I say, there's more to this coin than meets the eye. If you're a coin collector or just someone with a keen eye for value, stick around because we're going to uncover the secrets of the 1981 Lincoln penny and why it could potentially be worth up to $37,000. Now, let's start by talking about the 1981 Lincoln penny itself. The design is familiar to anyone who has ever handled a penny. On the obverse, you've got Abraham Lincoln's portrait, as designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. Around his portrait, you'll see the words, Liberty, In God We Trust, and of course, the date, 1981, along with the mint mark indicating where it was produced. On the reverse, you've got the iconic Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of American history, pride, and resilience. But here's the thing, the 1981 Lincoln penny was produced in large quantities, and in circulation, it seemed like just another coin you'd find in your pocket change. So, why is this coin special? Well, what makes the 1981 penny worth potentially thousands of dollars lies in rarity, minting errors, and its condition. One of the key reasons the 1981 Lincoln penny is valuable is due to the errors that were made during the minting process. When it comes to coins, minting errors are one of the biggest driving forces behind their value. Errors in how a coin is produced can turn an otherwise ordinary piece of currency into a collector's dream. The 1981 Lincoln penny is no exception. The most famous error that collectors look for on the 1981 penny is the double die error. What does that mean exactly? Well, a double die error occurs when the die used to stamp the coin is misaligned or imprinted more than once, causing certain features on the coin to appear doubled. For the 1981 Lincoln penny, this is usually visible in the date or the word Liberty on the obverse. The doubling of the digits or letters can range from subtle to quite pronounced, but when it's noticeable, it's a game changer for collectors. Collectors love double die coins because they are unique and rare. If you happen to have a 1981 penny with this error, don't just throw it in your spare change jar. That doubling could mean it's worth a lot more than just 1 cent, but that's not the only error you should be looking for. Another minting mistake that can drastically increase the value of the 1981 penny is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin isn't properly aligned during the striking process, and as a result, part of the design, like Abraham Lincoln's portrait or the Lincoln Memorial, is either cut off or shifted. An off-center strike creates a unique appearance that collectors find irresistible. The more extreme the misalignment, the more valuable the coin becomes. In addition to these errors, there's also the potential for die cracks or cut errors on the 1981 penny. These happen when the die, the stamp used to imprint the design, becomes damaged, causing raised lines or missing details on the coin. While these types of errors aren't as common as double die or off-center strikes, they still attract attention from collectors who appreciate the uniqueness of a damaged die. Now, let's talk about the condition of the coin. You may think that because it's a penny, the coin's value is low no matter what, but this couldn't be further from the truth. When it comes to rare coins, condition is everything. A well-circulated 1981 penny that shows heavy wear and tear won't be worth much more than a few cents. But if you have a 1981 Lincoln penny that's in excellent, uncirculated condition, meaning it looks almost brand new with sharp, clear details, then you've got something that could be worth far more than just face value. Coins that are uncirculated or in mint condition are highly coveted by collectors because they are much rarer to find, especially when it comes to pennies from the 1980s. A well-preserved 1981 Lincoln penny could easily command a premium in the market, especially if it features one of those rare errors. So, how much can a 1981 Lincoln penny be worth? Well, if you happen to find a double die error, an off-center strike, or even just a well-preserved penny in mint condition, you could be looking at a coin worth up to an incredible $37,000. That's right, $37,000 for a 1-cent coin from 1981. It may seem unbelievable, but in the world of rare coin collecting, this price is not as out of reach as it may sound, especially when you consider how rare these types of errors are. Before you rush off to dig through your collection, remember to carefully examine your 1981 pennies. Look closely at the date, the word Liberty, and the overall design. Check for any doubling, off-center strikes, or other subtle minting mistakes. If you find something out of the ordinary, consider having it professionally graded and appraised by a trusted expert. It could be worth far more than you realize. Today, we're going to shine a spotlight on a seemingly simple coin that might just be hiding a small fortune. I'm talking about the 1976 Lincoln penny. If you've ever casually glanced at a 1976 penny, you might have brushed it off as just another ordinary piece of change, but think again. You could be sitting on a treasure that, when looked at through the right lens, is far more valuable than you might expect. Now, you may be wondering, what makes the 1976 Lincoln penny so special? After all, this coin was produced in huge numbers, and millions of these pennies have been passed around in circulation since the year it was minted. However, what many collectors look for are rare versions, subtle minting errors, and specific conditions that can send the value of a coin soaring. In fact, some of these pennies are worth far more than just 1 cent, and by the end of this video, you'll know why the 1976 Lincoln penny could be worth an eye-popping $38,000. Let's break it down. The 1976 Lincoln penny is part of a historic series of coins that has been in circulation for over 100 years. The design on the obverse is the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, created by Victor David Brenner in 1909. Lincoln's image graces the front of the coin along with the words, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the date at the bottom. On the reverse side, you'll find the iconic Lincoln Memorial, which has been a part of the design since 1959. On the surface, it may look like just another penny, but the magic happens when we look closer. The 1976 penny is particularly interesting because of the 1976 bicentennial celebrations and limited edition series that were issued during this time. In fact, the U.S. Mint produced special coins in 1976 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of American independence. These were often paired with other special designs, including silver commemorative coins. While the penny didn't get a drastic change in design for the bicentennial, the era itself, and some rare minting errors, made the 1976 penny a coin worth hunting for. What makes this coin truly stand out to collectors, though, are the minting errors. Like many other coins in the Lincoln cent series, the 1976 penny has been known to suffer from several types of minting mistakes, which can make it highly desirable to collectors. One of the biggest errors collectors search for is the double die error. This occurs when the die that strikes the coin is misaligned and presses the image multiple times, creating a doubling effect. For the 1976 Lincoln penny, this error is often visible in the word "Liberty" or in the date. If you look closely at the 1976 penny and see any of the digits of the year or letters in Liberty appearing doubled, you've found a true gem. This error can vary in its severity, from slight doubling to a more dramatic shift, but the more pronounced it is, the more valuable the coin becomes. Some double-die 1976 pennies have sold for thousands of dollars because they are so rare and hard to find in good condition. Another minting error that can make the 1976 penny more valuable is the off-center strike. When the coin is not aligned properly during the striking process, part of the design can be shifted or even cut off entirely. For the 1976 penny, you might find part of Lincoln's portrait or the Lincoln Memorial missing, which makes the coin highly unique. An off-center strike can give the penny a one-of-a-kind look, and the more extreme the misalignment, the more valuable it becomes, but the errors don't stop there. Die cracks and cut errors are also possible on the 1976 Lincoln penny. These imperfections happen when the die used to strike the coin starts to crack or wear down over time. The result is a raised line or a bump on the surface of the coin, often in unexpected places. While these types of errors may not be as rare as double die or off-center strikes, they still add to the coin's uniqueness and desirability among collectors. Now, let's talk about condition. It's critical when it comes to rare coins. A 1976 Lincoln penny that's been in circulation for decades and shows wear and tear is going to be worth much less than one that's been kept in mint condition. Uncirculated coins, those that have never been used in circulation and look almost as fresh as the day they were minted, are the holy grail of coin collecting. If you happen to have a 1976 penny in perfect or near-perfect condition, you could be looking at a much higher value. Especially if it has one of those rare errors like the double die or off-center strike. If you think that a penny from 1976 couldn't possibly be worth that much, think again. When you combine rarity, error types, and excellent condition, the value of a 1976 Lincoln penny can climb significantly. If you've got a 1976 penny that's been carefully preserved, especially with one of these unique errors, you could be holding onto a coin that could be worth an astonishing $38,000. So, next time you're going through your spare change or rummaging through your coin collection, make sure to take a closer look at any 1976 pennies you might have. Look for any doubling in the date or liberty, check for any off-center strikes, and evaluate the overall condition of the coin. You could be holding a rare piece of history that's far more valuable than you ever imagined. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of the 1976 Lincoln penny, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more exciting coin discoveries, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on another valuable find. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting for rare coins.